I feel like the only reason why I be giving as fierce of a picture as I give now is because I learned how to pose and everything from America's Next Top Model. I mean, I didn't watch all those seasons for nothing. I definitely was posing in my mirror and was practicing. So welcome to La Vida Rosa. I'm your host Pinky, and today I'm going to be talking about everything that's wrong with America's Next Top Model. So if you'd like to see more, then just stay tuned. Make sure you check out my website, La Vida Rosa Style, where you can find cute accessories like these hair clips, which are really cute, and also these earrings. The link is down below, so go check that out. I hope I don't look like a bozo with this hairstyle. I wore this hairstyle simply so I can show off these hair clips. And yeah, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And without further ado, let's get into this video. First things first, I was not just a fan of America's Next Top Model, I was a stan. Pretty much growing up, people would always tell me, you should be a model, because I was super skinny. You know, I think I'm kind of cute. So, you know, people would tell me I should go on the show, or I should model, or I should do this and that. And I've always just been a big fan of the show because I was like, maybe one day I'll be a model. You know, it came out when I was younger. So I was a stan. I didn't watch it since the very beginning, but I did watch it since Eva's season, which is the 3rd season. And so I went back and I watched the original 2, and then I kept watching for like, I would say I've watched every single episode of season 1 through, I say 8 or 9. I've seen every single one of those episodes at least 3 or 4 times. For a while I could tell you who got eliminated when, who won what season. Like, I was just very, very engrossed, like to my own detriment. I was too engrossed with this show. So when they added the show to Hulu, and I already am subscribed to Hulu, I was like, let me go binge watch these seasons one more time, you know. And binge watching at my age now, I was entertained. I can't even lie, I was still entertained, but I was very cringed out by a lot of things that I watched. I watched 1, 3, which is my favorite season with Eva and Yaya and Takara and, you know, all my faves. I watched part of 4 and I watched part of 5 because I love Jade too. So I was like, why not point out what I thought was problematic and, you know, clearly should not have happened, Tyra should not have allowed, and just Tyra herself and her whole attitude when it comes to this show. But before I talk about all the negative, I am going to talk about a little bit of the positive. Even though some of this positive came with negative, I do want to give some of the positive. So many people from the show did go on to become successful. Obviously Eva, I feel like she's probably the most, I would say, well, no, maybe Winnie Harlow probably be the most successful model from the show, but I think Eva Marcille is probably still a huge household name. She's on the Real Housewives of Atlanta right now. Whether you love her or hate her, we know who she is. You know what I'm saying? We know Eva. We know Eva. And like I mentioned, Winnie Harlow, she's like this world famous model now. Ebony from the British Invasion season, I just saw one of her posts go viral recently where she was talking about how she got eliminated off America's Next Top Model and she was so discouraged at the beginning of the decade, and by the end of the decade she's like this model who's on the cover of a magazine. And I thought that was so awesome to see, just to actually see somebody be successful from the show, because a lot of times people got blackballed. Quiet as it's kept, a lot of people's names was tarnished in the industry because of the show, but it's nice to see people that did succeed. Eugenia, I would see her in magazines after her season. Yaya, she's an actress and she's been in films, and I believe she's a star of a TV show right now. Anna Lee, who went on to be an actress in a lot of movies and things like that. Takara, which Takara was just a personality. I think she did a lot of like hosting work and things like that after her season. Don Benjamin is just someone that I see, you know, I might see him on the Explore page or I might see him on TV. Like, he's just one of those people that just be popping up. Another positive thing about this show is that it brought many unconventional beauties to the forefront. Different faces, different sizes. She would choose people that were out of the ordinary. And for instance, Winnie Harlow with her vitiligo, she chose a girl named Talia who had burns on her skin. She was a burn victim. And I thought it was amazing that she brought her on the show and allowed her to flaunt those things instead of being ashamed of them. So these are just things that have just come off the top of my head. So if y'all could come up with any more, you could leave it down below. Also, they brought colorism to my attention. Ebony and Anshul, they both expressed how they experienced colorism. Ebony experienced it with her own family and how she was the darkest person in her family and how her sisters would call her names like Blackie and things like that.
I've been through so much from life and from like my childhood, and out of all my sisters, I've always been the darker skinned one. They would always talk about me like, oh, you know, Blackula. And I used to tell my mom all the time, I'm so ugly.
And also Anshul, she experienced colorism in the Indian community. She felt like she wasn't beautiful because her skin was darker and because she didn't have light eyes, and that's the standard of beauty in India. And so she even came in with contacts in her eyes.
In India, they do believe that lighter skin and lighter eyes are prettier. I actually want to beat that. Be like, hey, I'm dark, I'm beautiful, and I'm Indian, so I don't have to be light skinned or light colored eyes to be beautiful.
Honestly, for both of them to express that they didn't feel beautiful because their skin was darker really blew me away, because both of those women were gorgeous. So like I said, that was my first time really being introduced to colorism. So those are my positives that I have for the show. Let's move on to everything that's wrong with it. And I just feel like this video is going to be so long, but I wrote down 4 pages of notes, and so I'm just going to power through them. So I'm just gonna read this because this is how I feel about Tyra as a person. Tyra created reality TV and not necessarily good, successful models. Many times she picked people who were good TV. She used some people to perpetuate negative stereotypes, or stereotypes of, like, you know, ghetto black girl. It just seems like a lot of these girls were picked to be the bully, or picked to be the, you know, the person that everybody hated, the outcast, the emo girl, or girl next door, or, you know what I'm saying? I feel like she picked certain people to be a certain character and not necessarily for their modeling potential. This show was very self-serving for Tyra. I feel like in many ways she wanted the girls to bow down to her. These girls were begging and pleading to be picked and to stay. And when they didn't, she would be insulted and try to shame them. And that's where the whole, we were ready for you, we were all ready for you, how dare you! That's where that speech came from, but we're going to get to that in a minute. Also, it was revealed by many of the contestants that her personality was very forced and very fake, and when the cameras weren't rolling, they were not allowed to talk to her, and she wasn't so nice when the cameras were off, and when the cameras were on, she was all loving and, oh, I love you, these are my babies. And the very first winner of America's Next Top Model, Adrienne, she said she cut her off after the last season and heard nothing else from her, and she actually didn't even get her money from winning. So that's kind of trash to lure people on this show under false pretenses, and when they win, they don't even get the money. But we don't really hear too much from the winners other than Adrienne, so it makes me wonder, like, did she learn from Adrienne and have these people silenced over what really happens after you win? A consistent thing that she really did that was kind of awful to me is that she would, like, take someone's hair who was, like, down to their butt and then cut it, like, up to here, give them a pixie cut, and then sometimes she would send that person home the same week or maybe the next week, and it's like you sent this person through all this emotional distress basically for no reason. Because I feel like majority of the people that were on this show did not actually turn out to be models, or that modeling look possibly did not work for them, because in my personal opinion, a lot of these looks that Tyra would give these girls did not look good. Like, there are some people that their looks actually, to me, projected them and make them look even more beautiful. For instance, Eva, when she got her hair cut shorter and dyed blonde, I feel like that really complimented her, and that is like her signature look. As well as Fo, I forgot from what season, but Fo, when she cut her hair, that really did turn her into a model and made her look that it made her face pop that much more and just made her stand out. I do believe some of the cuts were warranted. I think majority of them were not. I think majority of them was sort of like emotional manipulation and to get a serious big reaction for TV, because we love to see people react and cry and, you know, oh, I love my hair. We love to see that, right? Even though they were giving her good content for her show, she still put them at risk and would, you know, fuss at them about crying when you already know that's what you want them to do in the first place. So it's like an emotional manipulation. Like I said, the girls are what made the show. Their different personalities, how they reacted to these different challenges. We rooted for certain girls to want to win. We didn't root for other girls. We don't want them to win. We watched for the girls. We did not watch necessarily for Tyra. We watched more so for the other judges than Tyra. I mean, Janice, Nigel, the Jays. We watched for pretty much everybody. Like, I'm speaking for myself. I mostly watched for the other characters on the show, not necessarily Tyra, because her personality did come across as corny and fake. So now let's get into the girls, who, like I said, is the star of the show, the reason why we watch. I'm going to use these girls as examples for the toxic things that used to happen on this show, oftentimes with many of the contestants, but like I said, I'm just going to use the girl as an example. Robin, she's from the first cycle of America's Next Top Model, and when I rewatched that season, she was really one of the most entertaining parts of that show, period. Whether you liked her or not, whether you agree with her beliefs or not, and one of the most gorgeous, if I might add. And she was the oldest. She was 26 years old, and she was considered to be plus size because she had like thicker hips and, you know, she was a little thicker on the bottom. But Janice constantly age shamed her and fat shamed her, and it's like, okay, why keep this girl around if she's constantly going to be put on the chopping block, or constantly gonna be, you know, her age is going to be a negative factor, or her body type is going to be a negative factor when you're the one who brought her in over someone who is younger or skinnier. I thought Janice was really problematic, but we all know Janice was problematic. It's just the fact that she would do that on national TV, and that would send a very negative message to young girls, especially girls who are thicker, who might have wanted to be a model or judge their beauty based off of someone they looked up to on this show. Now that I think about it, it makes me wonder, did Tyra bring Janice on this show on purpose to be the bad cop to her good cop, so she could look better defending, you know, thicker women, and, you know, basically to give her that time to shine and, you know, say all the buzzworthy things and stick up for the less conventional beauties? I wonder. Also, Robin was a Christian, and she was trying her hardest to hold fast to her beliefs, but they constantly provoked her to sway her beliefs. She drew the line at nudity and didn't participate. Her or Shannon, they didn't participate in the nude photo shoot, and she ended up getting eliminated. And personally, I feel like she was kept around for controversy. Even though her photos were gorgeous, I feel like she was really an A1 model. I think she was really kept around for controversy because she was a huge personality that was clashing with a lot of people. And also on top of that, Tyra has never posed nude. So the whole thing of posing nude is like a recurring theme with America's Next Top Model. It's also a reason why I never would audition for America's Next Top Model, because first of all, I'm not someone who it's against my beliefs to show my body and show, you know, too much leg, too much cleavage, let alone be nude. So I would never sign up for this show knowing that that's going to be a requirement at some point. And I think it's crazy, hypocritical, that Tyra required that of you and she never posed nude. So what makes you think I need to pose nude and you never did? Okay, let's get to Tiffany.
I was rooting for you. We were all rooting for you. How dare you?
Learn something from this. Tyra, that was totally uncalled for. Like, during the time, obviously, we were laughing. It's become a meme at this point. I've said it to my friends in a joking way. I've laughed plenty of times to that. I thought it was hilarious at the time. But looking back on it and really looking at the situation for what it was, Tyra had no right to go off on that girl the way she did. The reason why she snapped on that girl is because she wasn't crying or she didn't look sad. as she got eliminated. This is what I mean by Tyra wanting people to grovel at her feet and like beg her and kiss the ring of the queen, because why does it matter so much of how she reacted to being eliminated? Yeah, maybe she was trying to save face. I'm sure she was upset, but she don't have to cry and be sad and mope her way out of there to what? Feed your ego? Tyra really was just mad because she didn't visibly look sad. And allegedly, Tyra went on a long tirade that was edited down. Allegedly, she said, you can go back to your house and sleep on the floor with your baby. It was totally unwarranted, and if Tyra was as understanding as she portrayed herself to be, she would have been more sympathetic towards her. Because you know this girl, I do agree with Tyra that she kind of sabotaged herself. So if you really felt that, why would you scream at her and go off on her about that when obviously this girl has a problem? Well, you think you would be a little bit more sympathetic. There's a way she could have got across that same message she was trying to get across without screaming and hollering and demeaning this girl in front of everybody. So years later, she was asked about that whole scene and does she regret it or whatever. And she said, I shouldn't have done it. Well, maybe I shouldn't have aired it. And I'm like, that is so trifling for her not to understand that that was not right of her to have done that. Even after all these years, you still can't look back and see that you were wrong. Also, another girl that got scolded that I think really did not deserve it was Yaya. So in this episode, they were trying to find their own style. And their challenge that day was to choose a hat and basically make an outfit around that hat. And she chose a cowboy style hat. And they was like, well, I thought you would choose the kente cloth hat. And she just basically gave her opinion that the kente cloth that was used to make that hat was cheap. And it was insulting to her culture. And Tyra kind of went off on her about that and was just like, that's insulting to the person that chose that hat. And I can kind of see both sides, but I really see Yaya's side because she's African descent and she has a very close tie to that. So she would know if that was fake kente. And that, you know, it's sort of like, if they had a wig challenge and just because you black, they thought you would choose the afro wig and you just like, nah, I'm not choosing the afro wig because it looks like a Party City wig and my real hair doesn't look like that. To me, it's very similar. And so for her to talk down upon her for not wanting to choose that hat, I was just like, why? She went off on her because she was like, her whole style was too natural, and when she took her picture, her hair was straight or whatever, and so that is more glamorous and you should go for more of the glamorous look.
Is stunning. I mean, this is amazing. But what's not amazing is your appearance. Think a little bit more glamour as opposed to natural, because this is glamorous and this is amazing.
Basically trying to say her natural hair couldn't be glamorous. And it's just like, Tyra, you standing up there with an afro. So because your afro is perfectly coiled curls, that's glamorous, but her natural hair just doing whatever it want to do, that can't be glamorous. Next, we're going to move on to the blackface controversy. And I'm just like, Tyra had white girls painted black. She had white girls painted up black and holding black babies. And even said one of the girls who was painted black and holding a black baby reminded her of a picture of her and her mama. What, Tyra? How tone deaf can you be as a black woman to put a white woman in blackface? She even took a mixed biracial woman and painted her darker, and that's still wrong. It would be wrong of me to get on camera and paint my skin darker, because guess what? That's insulting to black women who have to live with dark skin and get torn down by colorism, get targeted because of their skin and their white features, and told they're ugly because of those things, and I'm putting it on as a costume to be worn as high fashion. No, ma'am. And I don't even really want to get into like a deep history of blackface, because that is a whole video within itself. Blackface has been very detrimental to black people. It's caused a lot of stereotypes that still are around today, that black people are lazy, black people are watermelon, you name it. I read her apology, and in essence, her apology was in no way was she doing blackface, and she wasn't trying to offend, and yada yada. Doing blackface within itself is offensive. Period. Don't do it. I feel like Tyra used people's emotional trauma for views. For example, the model Kaylin found out that her friend died, and literally the next day they did photo shoots in a casket where they literally lowered them down into a grave and they had to pose in a casket, and she would have been at risk of being eliminated had she not participated. I mean, you would think somebody would have stepped in and been like, look, you don't even have to do this and you will not be at risk. We will just, you know what I'm saying, we'll find something else for you to do, something. Because I mean, her friend just died, but they wanted to use that emotion for views. I know a lot of people might be saying, well, they didn't even have to do it. These were young girls who really were wanting to win by any means. And you know, when you're young, you make dumb decisions. You don't know where to draw the line a lot of times, and you feel like people have the best intentions for you and they really don't. So I kind of understand why they went ahead and did it, especially if they just didn't have the proper guidance. But I'm more so looking at the people that knew this and allowed it. Okay, let's talk about Kenya. I believe she was season 4. Yeah. Kenya season 4 was constantly roasted for her weight, and she didn't even have a gut, really. Yeah, she wasn't even thicker. When you look at Kenya, and when I was looking at what they were pointing out, her stomach was not big at all. And still to this day, Kenya is very skinny and still gorgeous as ever. She hasn't aged a day. Looks amazing, by the way. Tyra especially stayed roasting Kenya over her stomach. So when they did a photo shoot for the 7 Deadly Sins, they had her pose as gluttony. They also had her pose as an elephant, really digging in there that she's fat when Kenya was not nowhere near fat. And I know many girls probably looked at Kenya and probably looked down at their stomach and really felt like they were obese or like something was really wrong with them after they pointed out that this skinny girl was fat. Also, she was assaulted by a male model when they were posing. He was grunting, groping, and moaning, and she was still forced to pose with him. Not only that, she was also chastised for speaking up about her uncomfortability with this man, like being all on her like that and making these noises. She was also forced to go out to eat with him to dinner. And he was not fired. Like, how is this man not fired? Like, that is so trash. How dare you make somebody pose with somebody that is literally in their ear groping them? That was sickening to rewatch, y'all. I really couldn't even. It was so hard for me to rewatch. I knew I was going to do this video, so I went ahead and watched it, but it was sickening to me. Kayla, she was doing a photo shoot where she had to be, you know, all sexy with a model or whatever. And she was uncomfortable because she was assaulted as a child by a man. And so she just didn't feel comfortable in the photo shoot. And instead of, you know, giving her the option not to do the photo, they were pushing her to do it, and they were telling her to face her fears over something traumatic that happened to her as a child. And Jada from, I believe, season 5 was forced to kiss a male model who said he didn't want to kiss her because she was black. She was forced to kiss this man, and he was not fired. How do you make her kiss somebody who is racist? First of all, how he not get fired first of all? He should have been fired based off the fact that he was racist. Second of all, you made her kiss him too? You didn't even let her get somebody else? What? Yusai, who took Mr. J's spot as the creative director, he called Winnie Harlow a panda because of her vitiligo. She asked him multiple times not to call her that, and he was like, she should be flattered, and he was not fired. It's a running theme of people being violated, and the people that are doing these violations are not being fired. Like, I don't understand how you're not even on probation or reprimanded on camera or something. And then overall, she just snapped on black girls harder than she snapped on any other race. For instance, I already told y'all about Tiffany, you know, that viral meme. She went off on Tiffany and told her to take responsibility for yourself. But Brittany from season 16, she threw a whole temper tantrum, and she was bullying somebody in front of their clients at one of their photo shoots. First of all, another girl won one of the challenges. She won a car. right after the girl won, she was just like basically going in on her, talking about how she didn't deserve and how, you know, basically just being a terrible sport, a sore loser, if you will. And she was doing this in front of the clients.
I really, really think that Nigel made the wrong decision choosing Alexandria as the winner because, one, I don't think she's very attractive. Two, I don't think she looks like a model.
You picked the ugliest person here as far as their shape. And that they're embodying something that means so much, which is so fake.
You are.
I'm fake because I'm nice.
You're not nice. That's not nice. The way you're talking to me is
and
not
so then
nice
every
either.
other one of these girls here is fake too because they're nice to you because we don't want to single you out. We all gave you a chance.
I don't care.
If you don't care, then I want you
the
to
only
stop
people that
talking.
need to give me.
So when they got to panel, obviously this was pointed out by Nigel because he was there. And this girl took no responsibility. She literally threw a temper tantrum and walked out of judging.
So mad at myself for letting her do this to me.
Brittany, okay, we're talking about role models, right? You have to respect yourself.
And ended up winning the whole competition. I'm just going to name a few other girls that might have deserved to be gone off on more than Tiffany. It was between a girl named Talia and another girl that was in the bottom two. And apparently Talia had expressed in the house that she didn't want to be there anymore. But, you know, at judging, you know, you might say things in the house and you don't really mean it. But at judging, she was in the bottom two. And Talia ended up staying over the other girl. And this girl, and Celia decided she wanted to step out and tell Tyra, well, Talia said she wanted to go home, and I don't think she should have to go. I don't think the other girl should have to go because Talia said she wanted to go home. And, you know, Tyra did kind of get her together, but she deserved to get snapped on. Because I ain't never seen nobody step out of place in line and, you know, basically tell Tyra she was wrong. Another girl named Louise, she was a white girl. And she was from the British invasion season. She was British herself. And she was very disrespectful to the judges. Whenever they gave her any sort of critique, she was like, whatever. Like, she had a terrible, nasty attitude altogether. Tyra, yes, she might have reprimanded her a little tiny bit, but she did not snap on her the way she snapped on some other girls. Also, Carrie D, which I liked Carrie D, but Carrie D was completely wrong for something she said to Nigel. She said something about him having a stick up his butt, and that was disrespectful towards him. And yes, she, like I said, she got reprimanded, but she didn't in the least get what Tiffany got. All of these girls that I mentioned deserve to be snapped on, not Tiffany. I rest my case. And they didn't get half of what Camille, Kenya, Yaya, Tiffany, none of these girls. All the black girls, they got snapped on and embarrassed for no reason. And I wanted to bring up Takara because I feel like Takara got eliminated way too soon. Especially who she got eliminated against. And who basically has been in more bottom twos than anybody of her season. She might have gotten in more bottom twos than anybody ever on this show. Most of her photos were not good. Most of her photos were heavily critiqued. She was plain, boring. She never gave anything. She didn't have any good pictures like the rest of the girls. She didn't really have any good pictures. I don't know how she made it to like top 4. Takara did not deserve to be eliminated where she was. I really believe she got eliminated because she was plus size. Her spirit was a little broken at one point because they didn't have a wardrobe to accommodate Takara. Takara got leftovers. Her wardrobe wasn't half as cute as the skinny girls from that season. She really deserved better. And Janice was calling her fat every 2 seconds. Janice was saying she loved her one minute and calling her fat the next. Like, I think that's where I'd rather you just call her fat the whole time than build her up just to break her down. So I said all that to say Takara was really one of my favorites from the season. I feel like she had some of the most potential out of all the girls there. She definitely should have at least been in the top 3. And y'all trifling for keeping Anne over Takara. That was just my own personal gripe with the show. That was my own personal gripe. So with all that being said, I'm almost out of breath. Like, this is probably going to be the longest video I've ever posted in the history of La Vida Rosa, my channel. But it was well worth it. A lot of people were looking forward to this video. So I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you have any other things that you found wrong with this show, please leave it down below. Overall, this show was kind of a part of my childhood, and I still kind of look back on it fondly, more so, like I said, because of the girls, because I have checked out a lot of their pages just to see how they're doing now, and you know, I'll never forget this show, but it was very problematic and possibly could have contributed to a lot of my self-consciousness that I had within myself. You never know, because they pointed out a lot of quote-unquote negative things in people that wasn't actually a negative. It was just something that they didn't find attractive. And even though Tyra did bring on people of various shapes and sizes, different faces, different people that, you know, are not the traditional standard of beauty, they also tore a lot of those people down. So yeah, you brought them to the forefront, but did you actually uplift them? I don't know. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you in my next one. Peace.